Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, the Expendable. So we got a couple different things. We're gonna kind of do a little bit different today. I'm not gonna, hound too much. Oh, there's Shauna.
Okay.
Hey, there's
Can you find
Shauna.
my headphones? They're in the car. Thank you.
So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go through and do a quick international roundup because nothing in the United States is really like making a whole lot of sense. So we'll go. We'll look over into Russia, as we already reported. Russia had a battle in Kursk, Russia, with Ukraine, which they've like decimated the Ukrainian military. So I would expect Ukraine to retreat back into the Ukraine. And then you have Israel. You know, the White House is trying to they're really trying to play this neutral game still. This is going to backfire on them, and then nothing. You're not going to have this like ceasefire peace situation when Washington plays neutral. It's just not going to work out that way. What you're going to have is both sides are going to get impatient with the United States. They're going to be expecting them to either like come in and like aggressively moderate the situation, or they expect the United States to definitively pick a side. I think Lloyd Austin kind of has definitively picked the side. You know, he's pretty much saying, I got your back, Israel. With the amount of Navy vessels that are in that region is insane right now. I just looked at the map just a little bit ago. So I would think that our military has chosen a side, but you're not really hearing anything out of the White House. Like Kamala Harris did put out like a really like very neutral, you know, we want to make sure that the Palestinians don't get hurt, but at the same time we got to back our Israeli counterparts. Now the issue that I have with that, I'm not against the ceasefire. I'm not against the peaceful resolution in that region. I think that needs to happen. However, when your Hamas is a tricky situation, for one, because they are officially a terrorist group pretty much everywhere in the world. For two, they like to hold up in very heavily civilian populated areas like schools and hospitals and stuff. So that makes it very difficult to attack them without having civilian casualties. And that's the card that Hamas wants to play. They'll sacrifice the Palestinians to make their international point and go, look, Israel just blew up all of our little Palestinian kids. But Hamas wants to hole up in those areas to cause problems. So, you know, that's what you're looking at over there. It's a cat and mouse game, and everybody's really, kind of trying to deal with that situation in the best possible way. I know Israel's they're not really out there trying to kill innocent people, but it's something that happens. You know, when we went to Iraq, we killed some innocent people. Just about every war that happens, innocent people die. You know, we don't want to see that happen, but it's part of war. Further, I mean, in Israel's defense, a little bit, Israel has given the Palestinians about a 3-month head start of, hey, get out of Gaza. And some of them have just decided to not leave for whatever reason. So it is a war zone. I would flee if I was an innocent bystander, and I would flee the war zone. That's what I would do. There are countries trying to take these people in to get them out of the area, so that way Israel and Hamas can have it out and be done. But once again, we're not seeing any leadership coming out of our White House that's going to, sit down with both of these parties and say, how do we stop this, without having, a big bunch of issues. So, be all right. All right.
I'm tired.
So then, wow, it's been one of those weekends, I know. So Europe's still on fire. England, the government in England is threatening to arrest anyone that post anything anti-England about their riots, no matter where you're sitting in the world. So Elon Musk has opened his mouth about that and said, "Hey, I'm not, you ain't gonna arrest me." And so there's this thing, it's making Americans mad, because we're gonna say whatever we want. You guys, the crown doesn't have any authority over us. So there's that. England can't control their people anymore. Scotland, they're all fighting. The Welsh are fighting. The Irish are fighting. One thing that this whole situation over there has managed to do is to bring those four groups together as one, which hasn't happened in probably 500 years. So usually they're fighting each other. So you have managed to bring together like all those groups of people. The Irish don't get along with anybody. So for them to, like, when you see an Irish flag next to a Scottish flag and a Great Britain flag, it's kind of like, whoa, that don't look right. But that's what's happening. And, Germany is starting to have issues there now. So Germany's involved in the rioting. And I watched an interview with a British lady just today. And so my new book is going to be out probably in 2 weeks. I'll have the exact date here pretty soon. But everything that this lady from England talked about as to the root causes of why this is happening is exactly what my book is about. So I feel kind of stupid because my book's probably like a month too late, but it's still gonna bring the purposes out. It is, Shauna. When you read it, you're gonna be like, oh man, he was right the whole time. But she says, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and NATO have all caused this. And now, then I saw this. I'm not sure where she was from, but she was wearing the burqa and everything. And she said, look, we have to stop fighting each other because this is what they want. They have to depopulize or, get rid of the population. It's too big. So they want us to kill each other. And they're using the Muslims to facilitate and to start that fire. She said that the immigrants are part of the problem, and because they know that the Europeans are going to react in a certain way. So they've already like fire started this whole situation purposefully. And so we have to understand that, and we are set up here in the United States for that same scenario. I know, and if it happens here, it'll be so much bigger. It'll be so much bigger and badder. Which is scary because we have guns. It's scary because our population is so big. If something like that were to happen, there's going to be gunshots, and then there's going to be a lot of dead people. So we have to really get ahead of this. And once again, we have no leadership coming out of the White House that's preparing to deal with these things. Kamala Harris is campaigning every day. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that when the world's in a crisis, and you're in the guy sitting in the president's seat has dementia and can't run for president anymore, it's your job as vice president to step in. And she's not doing that. And that's hurting. It's hurting our country. We're vulnerable right now. I feel like right now, realistically, like Lloyd Austin is our president. He's the only one out there doing anything. And that's sad for me to say because I can't stand Lloyd Austin. But at least he's being proactive about things. Like he's getting things. He's doing what he should have been doing the last 4 years, is being a military leader. So, I mean, too little, too late, but at least he's, we're not sitting blind. He's got some people in place. There's actually a lot of soldiers over in that region right now, just sitting out in the seas, Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Gulf. So that if something happens, we will have a heavy influence in that region. So, so Europe's going through all their stuff. Bangladesh is still fighting. This whole government takeover thing is pretty much done, wiped out that whole country. India's getting mad because Bangladesh and India are to fight each other. So India is, for those of you who don't know where stuff is on a map, I forgot where Bangladesh was at. So I had to go back and go, where the hell's Bangladesh at? So I had to go back on the map and look for it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right beside India. But they're killing all the Hindus over there in Bangladesh. And so the majority of the religion of India is Hindu. So they don't like that. They don't like seeing their Hindu people, getting massacred over there by the government. So there's that issue. I could see India jump into that if it gets much worse. They're paying very close attention, which that could cause Kamala Harris to get drafted because she's from India. What? I can't say that. She's part Indian.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say.
Right. I mean, it's a fact. It's a fact.
It is. It's very much a fact.
Okay. I'm glad you're agreeing with me today for once. So then we'll talk about Venezuela. Right. Well, we're going to have another conversation here as soon as I get done with international news. That's going to be a little bit more Shauna involved. But so Venezuela is the last international country I'm going to talk about. So Maduro has started to forcefully gain control over Venezuela, which I had expected to happen. They just have there's too much military that's taking orders over there from Maduro for the people to really make a difference over there. So I feel bad for them because they're all going to be part of this like socialist. They're probably closer to a communist regime than a socialist regime. So Maduro's just a bad dude. He's just a bad guy, and the Venezuelan people are gonna feel that for the next however many years he's president. He's already started to ban things over there. They ban their social media. They don't want the people to see what other countries are saying, because a lot of people are cheering on the Venezuelan people like, hey, take your government back. And Maduro don't want that. The hype to die down so he can, make people do what he wants them to do. So that's a sticky situation over there. A lot of people got killed in Venezuela. So now I'm going to talk real quick about Kamala Harris. Like I said, she's been campaigning, and the amount of ignorance that's coming out. They're doing the Harris campaign. Now that I've seen this from several different perspectives, this is a huge psyop. And I hate using that because everybody says everything's a psyop, but this is a straight psyop. When you look at her campaign pictures, and she's getting called out on this left and right, and I don't believe that stuff at first, but then I start looking into it myself and I'm like, holy crap, they're right. Like the picture of the mob of when Kamala gets off of Air Force Two, there's another point. See, I thought some of the people in the crowd were really there and that they just photoshopped some people in, but then somebody pointed out, look at the reflection of the airplane. So I zoomed in. There's not one person out there waiting. If you look at the reflection, it's an empty airfield. So that's why I'm like, okay, so they're playing the PSYOP game. And then you look at the crowd from her Arizona rally, or what if there was even anybody there, I'm not even sure, because it was an invitation. We found out it was an invitation only event. So they weren't letting anybody in unless they were on the list. So when you look at some of the people in the crowd, the one dude has like a neck that's like this long in the crowd. And this one commentator's like, what is this guy? Is his mom a giraffe? And which I was like, holy crap, when you really look at the crowd, you can see who's Photoshopped. Like there are these two dudes, they look like Jay and Silent Bob sitting in there. They're like definitely green screened in there. Like they just got done smoking a J, and now somebody green screened them into the rally crowd. And then you have there was another lady who's got like a 7-foot long arm that she's holding up a Harris Waltz sign, and it looks like a Lego arm. Like, what is wrong with her arm? So there's a lot of like PSYOP stuff going on there. I think I think, and then the polls are inconsistent. When you look from like the conservative to the liberal polls, they're so different. And that Kamala's barely winning in the liberal polls, but she's getting destroyed in the conservative polls. So polls are a good temperature gauge. I do pay attention to them, but I try not to like set my heart on them, because I know that it depends, like, because it's random. You're going to go, okay, I'm going to pick 1,000 people from this area and poll them. So it just depends on what your polling group is. And your demographic, like the demographic matters. So if you're, going rural versus city, so there's a lot of factors that come into play when you're contabulating polling data. So I try not to get too excited about it, but I'm seeing this like pattern where things are so different from the liberal polls to the conservative polls. It's really, really bad. So I started to think about it, and I'm like, I'm just going to disregard polls. I may talk about them or report them, or if there's like a major change, because I can at least look at the patterns from now until the election and go, okay, what all things are changing in this poll, and that'll kind of tell me what way things are going. Or, but with the liberal polls, now that I know that this like AI photoshopping psyop is going on, I believe that the liberal polls are a psyop as well. They know Kamala is not, like, I haven't found not one person that's like, Kamala Harris is going to be a great president. So like it makes it hard for me to believe that when I can walk down my street right now, and I can find at least 5 people that will say Donald Trump is our man. But I won't find not one person that'll say Kamala Harris is going to be a great president. So the realism just doesn't make sense. Kamala's not I think the polling is a psyop. I think Kamala's so unfavorable that they're making it look close, so that way they can try to pull more Democrats in to vote and to back Kamala, like to make it look like she's gaining ground, so they can pull in real votes. Because I think what it is if me and my dad discussed this several times, where they don't need Kamala to be in the lead. They just need her to be close. Because obviously now that the election, Georgia just found 500,000 votes that weren't contabulated from the last election. So several states have also come forward and said, hey, these votes didn't get counted. Hey, it's too late now. You can't change anything. You can, but it's too late. Biden's 4 years is already up. You can't give Trump those 4 years. And there's no guarantee that even if they gave Trump Georgia, he still loses the election. It just depends on how many states, had all these massive errors. And as you know, Trump only lost Georgia by like less than 12,000 votes. So he could have had that in that 500,000 very easily. So we have issues. I don't trust anything coming out of the left. I just watched an interview of Nancy Pelosi talking about Joe Biden, about how she wanted to come out and say, yeah, I got that old bag out of there. But then she wanted to say, well, he just didn't seem like the same Joe Biden. Well, no shit. He has dementia. And like they don't want to come out and admit, like, yeah, this was a coup. We performed a really good coup on Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's mad about it. They interviewed him too, and he's like, yeah, it wasn't really what I had in mind. So like they're not happy. The Bidens are not happy with Nancy Pelosi and probably Chuck Schumer and Jerry Humpty Dumpty Nadler. So like those power brokers, and Obama's in on that too. He made his phone calls as well. But they basically told him that he was bringing the whole party down. So he was like, well, wait a minute. You guys were just telling me I'm the greatest president we ever had. Now you're telling me I'm shitty. What's
now
going on?
Come on, man. America will never admit to something like that. They will never admit to something like that.
They totally scrambled that man's brain. feel bad. They probably advanced his dementia worse than what it is. Could you imagine somebody's telling you you're doing a great job all the time, and then next day you get fired? You're like, wait a minute. I thought I was doing a good job. Y'all told me America loves me. We're going after the MAGAs. But
I don't know, man.
But I mean, it was definitely a coup. They ousted Biden. He needed it, but they should have done it like 2 months before they did it. They waited too long, and they were holding out hope because they know he wasn't going to get cured magically from his condition, because there's no cure for that. But they were hoping that he could last long enough to get reelected, and then they didn't need him anymore. They could have told him, like, hey, just go retire. Kamala's got this. And that's what the plan was. But he didn't make it long enough. His polls were going down every week. Trump was about to destroy him in the presidential race.
It was going to be over before it started.
Oh, definitely. So that there was that whole thing. So there's still some things. I'm not sold. And I thought my dad was crazy when he told me this. And I thought he was like, I still don't think Kamala's going to be the candidate next week when it's the Democratic National Convention. Her polls are going to be too low in reality, and Obama's going to swap her. And I'm starting to think that could happen. Like, you're seeing all these really aggressive desperation things that the left is doing, and it makes me think that they're still panicking. Like, why do you have to digitally AI people into your crowds? Why do you have to go in and do all this?
I'm looking at the photos that people are showing where it's like the AI. It's so funny. Like, you seen the ones where it's the faces?
Some of it's really obvious. Like, you can look at the picture. Yeah. Like, the faces are all contorted. Like, everybody's got demon face. Yeah. It's so weird. Like,
and then somebody was pointing out the one you was talking about, the plane.
Yeah.
And it's no reflection. Yeah, it was funny.
There's
hilarious.
See, they're right there. There's nobody in that crowd.
Yeah.
Unless they're all vampires.
Like, looking at
this vampires don't see their
reflection. Let me see. You can see it. Like, God, we need to put this up on the thing. Oh. But yeah, it's like showing when you zoom into the crowds, like, oh my God. They like faces look weird. Like, look at that.
Yeah. So look, I just figured it out. You just provided me all the proof that I need. Kamala Harris is supported by demon faces and vampires.
I'm
so she is evil. She's supported by evil.
These people are hilarious. They've even ran it through like the AI things to see if it's like generated. And they were like, the systems are saying it's like, it's only 8% like actual humans. The rest of it's like 92% AI.
Yeah, I know, but they don't want you. Like, you got guys like Harry Sisson. Like, do you know who Harry Sisson is? I'm sure you do. You're on X. But Harry Sisson's like their top, like, he's like 12 years old, but he's like on talking politics on Twitter all the time, like he's an expert. And he's like Joe Biden was going to take him all the way. He was like dead set. He was like balling when Biden quit. And then now he's like, Kamala Harris. Yeah. I'm on Kamala Harris team. And like, he swears up and down she's the greatest thing that this country's ever had. But he gets on there and he's like, the Trump people are saying that our pictures aren't real. But you dumbass, they're not real. Like, it's very easily debunked. Like, you have to continually get on the internet and lie over and over. When you look at Harry Sisson's post, 99% of his comments come from people telling him to shut up. Like, how is this dude? He's not influencing nobody. He makes the liberals look dumber.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
There's other ones out there too.
I don't think she's polling like they want her to. I definitely don't think she is. It's still not a lot of people buying into it. I don't think we can trust
the polls right now.
I don't either. I definitely don't.
When you control the media and the media is who puts on most of the polls, and liberal colleges. Quinnipiac is usually is kind of accurate. I pay attention to them a little bit more, but then again, they're falling. Their numbers are falling in line with like the CNN polls and stuff like that. So, I think a lot of people are in on it now. But it doesn't really matter. The overall poll don't matter. It's the swing state polls is what's going to win the presidency for either one of them. So, hopefully when real polls come and people like Kamala Harris has yet to do a press conference. She has not done Trump has done 11 of them now. Kamala Harris has not answered any questions to the media yet. She talked to that one reporter. She don't have a platform. Did you see what she just did?
They literally want her just to ride it out. Like, you're going to win. You're going to be the first woman, black president. Strategy. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. Like, hey, you're going to do what Joe Biden did and just stay in the basement. And it worked.
I feel like that's a very big mistake on their part, though. I feel like that's their arrogance. Even if they had just drafted something quick, I think it would have been better than to just not do anything.
Right.
Like, I think you would have had I think because, like, we've all said this before on the show, like, one of the main things, we really didn't see her as VP. People really didn't like her as a choice for the VP. So everybody's already had a bad taste in their mouth about her.
She was a joke.
And now
everybody was making fun of her, even the liberals were.
Yeah. And now that you want us to take her serious.
Now we're supposed to take her seriously.
Yeah. And it's like, this would have been a good time to really get to know her. You know what I'm saying? Get to know the family. Like, we know more about her VP and his family than we do her. And she's supposed to be the presidential elect. So it's like, how do we take this serious? What do you want us to do with this?
You like horses.
Don't you start.
Well, definitely Waltz takes the distractions away from Kamala Harris because he's way more shittier of a human being.
Oh my God.
Stolen valor, horse lover. Like, what? This dude's like, not. And then he's like, well, he had that video. Did you see the video where he's like, I'm going to invest in ladders so that way when the walls go up, people will buy ladders so the immigrants can climb across them. Like, come on, man. You're like, do you realize how dumb you are? This dude's an idiot. And then, like, the people in Minnesota, they're like, we made a huge mistake by voting for him.
All I'm going to say
his favorability is like 36% in Minnesota.
Whoever is their campaign manager,
they're bad, aren't they? It's the same one Biden had.
They suck. I mean, they haven't vetted anybody. They haven't gotten her together to do interviews. Like, I will say, whoever Trump's person has been doing a good job. They've been helping him stay calm, been helping him practice a lot when he does interviews. Like, he's not doing all the crazy stuff that he did last time. He stays on point for the most part. Like, they've done a really good job in prepping him for this time around. And I'm just like, I'm wondering, like, for Kamala and them, like, were y'all just that arrogant that you didn't feel like you needed to do any of this? Or was it really that much of a scramble job that you just didn't have time to do this? Like, I'm honestly curious.
I think they thought that their tricks would just work. They think we're that easily manipulated that we'll just buy into every little trick that they have.
It feels like it, especially when you see her rallies. It feels that way. It really feels that way.
Yeah,
like, it's definitely giving arrogance for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
You know, when you gotta me and my boy Quavo. You know, like, man, that's not your boy. Let me tell you.
Please. Oh God.
Quavo don't even like you.
He probably don't even know about politics like that. It was just like, oh, we're gonna pay you to come out, do a few verses. Sure.
Us Atlanta people But we don't even like Los Angeles people. We don't like those San Francisco people. I know.
He's not
I
from
was
San
born and raised in
Francisco.
Atlanta for the last 5 years. Yeah, but
Oh my
Kamala is.
God.
Quavo's on our team.
No, he
He
not.
just
Not if he
cut him
out
a
there
check.
doing free
He got paid.
concert. They cut him a check out there doing these freaking concerts.
Yeah.
No, he's not on our side. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, because he got paid $20,000 to make that appearance. 20 grand.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's definitely
that's my
yeah.
that's my politics. That's my politics for the day. So, now so I've had this like on my mind for like the last couple weeks, and I've been thinking a lot about this.
Oh God.
And just seeing how society is moving through the time in such a short amount of time. You know, I wanted to make a point that we look at our own, you know, family structures. Like, family is a huge thing for me. Like, there's nothing bigger in my world other than God than family. My job under God is to protect my family, whether you're blood, whether you're married in, whether you're adopted in, it doesn't matter. Your family is family. And so as society progresses, and you know, because your kid, you're going to have kids, and they're going to move on to Texas and Montana and they're going to go all over the countries for their jobs. And so, and I've had to feel this because I've had to put this into perspective in my own life, where I was, you know, I'm from Ohio, and my job sent me down to Atlanta, Georgia, you know, 650 miles away from home. And when I came down here, I had a wife and 2 stepkids. Well, now I don't have none of that. So I sit down here, and I'm down here by myself. And I often sit here and think, like, you know, how would my kids feel if they had to be off by themselves right now? Will they feel how I feel? And so I try to make a point to, you know, to always reach out to them on a regular basis, because I don't want them to feel like they're alone. I want them to feel like that they have family that supports them no matter what. And my motto is always, if you're in my family, you're family, no matter if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. I'll go to bat. It don't matter. So, and that extends out, you know, further for me. Like, my family's really good at taking people in. Like, you don't even understand. You could show up at my family reunion, and there will be like 4 people there that aren't even in the family, but they're not married to anybody in the family, but they're just people that we said, hey, you're in our family now. And like, they just hang out with us so much that we just take them in. And you know, we try to help people out. And so it's a big thing. And the idea of family, I feel, has been watered down so much with this modern society, and this like it's this divisional European module that the left is adopting has destroyed family structure. It's made us go, well, my kid's a lesbian, so they got to be over here with the lesbian group now. Or, you know, my son is dating, you know, someone of another race, so they got to be over here in this zone now. And that's not how it's supposed to go. It's not supposed to go like that. And I just refuse to see it in that way. And because family's family, I don't care who you're with. I don't care what you identify as. That stuff doesn't matter. What matters is you're part of my family, and you always will be. I don't care if, you know, with my ex-wives, you know, my ex-wife Misty knows that if she ever got into some real trouble with something, that she can get a hold of me, and I'll figure out a solution to her problem. And even my last wife, Chantel, she's the same way. She knows, even though she doesn't, she knows that if she ever came into some issues, she could just call me and I'll figure out how to get her out of it. And because that's what family does. And that goes on to like friends too. Like, I have some friends growing up, and I'm sure you probably have run into this, Shauna. You probably have some people that like your friends that you say, oh, that's my family. And I have people like that back home, like my friend Justin Straw. That dude, we used to live together. We went to school together. We done partied together. We've sat up until 4 o'clock in the morning having deep intellectual conversations so many times. Like I know him and he knows me. And like that's my brother. That he'll always be my brother. And then my other friend Shane Seekings, like we have done some. Look, there are so many skeletons in that closet. Like we could definitely do damage to each other if we really didn't like each other. But like that's my brother, right? But like, yeah, but like that's my brother, and he'll always be my brother. It don't matter. And like I've watched that man go through the darkest times of his life, and there were times where I was like, man, I don't know. Is Shane gonna be the next one that I gotta put in the ground? But I watched him like rise up and say, this ain't happening to me. And he changed his life, and he had a good wife that stood beside him no matter what. And she dug in and she endured it, and he beat it. This family's they're such a beautiful family now. And he did his will, did that. And he had a strong wife that was his pillar that stood. That's what family looks like to me. When I look at Shane and Kimmy, I say that's what family looks like to me. And my friend Paul and Katie, like me and Paul, we do not get along at all on politics. We probably want to fight each other at the end of every political conversation. But I've known Paul for a long time, and I respect the shit out of him. And when I look at him and his wife Katie, who I grew up with her too, and I look at how their family structure is, they don't leave each other behind. That's a strong family. And I have a ton of respect for that. And that's what I'm like, so there's hope. There's hope. There's some strong family structures out there. And, even in my own family, like we just don't abandon each other. It's not something that we do. And, you might have to learn the hard way sometimes, but you're not abandoned. And, it's just like, with Parker and Grace and Shauna, like if they ever needed anything, I got an open door for those two boys forever. It's not their fault.
Yeah. I mean, things happen, things that kids don't necessarily understand when they're kids. Like, my parents have been separated since I was 15. Like as a kid, you just don't understand right now. You're in a world that's encased in you, but as you get older, you start to see things differently, process it differently, and it makes it, you look at things differently. And if it ever does, if they ever want to, but I think so. In my family, 7 days ago today, well, 14 days ago now, my cousin, her husband passed. He died. And they've been separated for 15, 20 years at this point now. So, but because of their religion, they haven't divorced. He's done his thing and multiple girlfriends, whatever like that. But when he passed, oldest responsible for planning the funeral, everything like that. My cousin called my mom. She was heartbroken. This is somebody that you shared vows with, you've had children with, shared a marriage with, even though it wasn't perfect. It was a sad thing for her. She cried with my mom, things like that. But to see everybody come together, even though they've had a troubled past. My mom, I couldn't go to the funeral. Unfortunately, I was working. But, my mom, she took my nieces. They went, helped serve food, help clean the house up, help cook, whatever the things that was needed, lent a hand.
Right.
And she was so thankful for these things because even though they haven't been with each other in a long time, she did lose somebody important in her life. All of the kids banding together, a lot of the times you see kids divided because of marital problems with their parents, but all the kids were together, united as one, coming together to help their mom, being strong for her, things in that nature. And I think, the biggest lesson that you can learn the same way with me and my siblings, like we do family vacations all the time, all of us. My parents aren't together, but we make it work. One big crazy mess
Right.
that we are together. Like the thing is that as you get older, when you're a kid, you look at your parent as this hero. They're on a pedestal for you. And then as you get older, you see your parents' flaws. And you have to realize your parent have their own issues, their own trauma that they're working through, even while being your parent. And
Right.
I think the thing is that you have to realize, like you said, family is family at the end of the day. Nobody's perfect. Me and my siblings have the same
Right.
parents, but we've all dealt with and looked at our parents' marriage differently. And,
Right.
even growing up in the house together. And it's, you have to realize that even if you're siblings and you're growing up in the same situation, everybody has a different perspective about things. And I think the thing is that you have to realize that family is family at the end of the day. You love each other. When you need help and you can give a lending hand, you do that. Like, because one thing my dad would always tell us, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you have in your life. Your family is always going to be there for you. Your family is going to be the ones that's going to jump to help you first before anybody
Right.
else will. So, it's a big thing. And I think a lot of people have to do a lot of self-reflection on themselves as well. Why are you harboring things so much? You have to let it go. At the end of the day, your family.
Right.
You're going to have your spats. You're going to be mad at each other. All right, cool. We've done
Oh,
it.
no.
Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's move on. You're still my sister or my brother or my uncle or aunt, my grandma, things of that nature. You still have to love them at the end of the day because, oh boy, my mom used to tell me all the time, you can't choose family. Unfortunately.
No, you can't.
You can't choose family. It
It's
is
funny.
what it is.
It's funny. Well, it's funny with you, Sean, because like that's how I've like kind of pieced together, like, as I've, gotten to know you over the last year, probably getting close to 2, that, sometimes I'm like, okay, when's my friend going to come visit me? Or when is she going to have time to talk to me? Because her family's so important. But so I just keep that patience because I know your family's active. Like you guys are very active with each other. And that's a cool thing. That's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
I like seeing that even though it takes time away from my neediness.
It's hands on deck, man.
You got your family.
One of the days you'll get invited to the barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring my tasteless potato salad.
No, don't bring anything. Bring the cups and the plates. That's where we at, We never want people to bring outside food. Bring your presents, your company. That's it. That's how my family is. My family is the type of family you can come eat as much as you want, but you're gonna have to help clean up. That's how my family is. They're like, you got to help clean up. If you're going to come and eat, you just got to help clean up. We're good. That's it. But yeah, and I think the thing is like nobody's perfect. Nobody ever is. We all have our flaws. You have to look past it. I tell you all the time how my parents' relationship drives me absolutely up the wall. It's crazy. It's insane, but it's them and it's their business. You can't, what am I going to say? I'm not married to either one of them. That's their business. So we leave it at that. And I think that's a lot of the things too, is that, people look at situations.
But you still give them both support, right?
I mean, my job as their child is to let them know that I love them both equally. And anytime that they need anything, I'm going to be there. Just like, I was there last weekend at my dad's house. Like, he's like, I was waiting on your mom, but she's taking forever. All right, cool. I'll bring you something to eat. My dad hurt himself. He's been at the house all weekend. Cool. I'm coming to check on you anyways. I'll bring you some food. That's totally fine. Like, it's just one of those things. Like,
Right.
I love them both equally. I'm not talking to them about their marriage. That's not my business. I didn't marry either of them. I didn't make the vows. They did. So however they choose to carry that out is their business. And that's a lot of the times you see people upset at their family members over situations that they're not having to live through. Like, yes, it impacted me that my parents were separated. Yes, you know, it's made me have a different outlook on marriage. I have to deal with my own issues, and they have to. It's so, you know, you have to realize that. Like, yeah, you don't like that your was cheating on her, sure, but that's her business. You gotta let all. You ever want to leave this person and do better? And I feel like you could do better for yourself. Absolutely, let's do it. I'm here, and I think that's the thing. People are so wanting to find that control in other situations. It's not your case, it's that person. So at the end of the day, you just love your family. You love them and you support them, and you let them know when the time comes and they need you and they need that to do that for them. And that's all it is. Besides, like I said, nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. So there's never a perfect person. You know, even Jesus himself was imperfect. So you got to look at it that way.
I think Jesus was perfect.
Maybe in your opinion. But even if you read the stories of all the people that he's used.
No, he didn't use them. He empowered them. He empowered them.
Yeah. But all the people that he used as testimonies were not perfect people. They all had flaws. They all had problems.
Well, he didn't
want the prostitute.
Well, that was where's the sin? Go find the sin. That's where he was at his best.
Oh, look, here's my little people. Nice steak butt.
Put on the dress, so we're looking for that green. She wants to be.
It's in the basket upstairs in the room.
Okay, come on. Yeah. I want to make it like her dog.
People, look. Mama's head. Okay. It's in the basket.
Very bad stomach ache.
Okay. Well, they've been with their grandmothers the whole weekend, so they're coming home finally. But yeah, so I think, you know, especially when you have children. I didn't have my grandparents growing up, so for my kids to have both set of grandparents, they're all very active in their life. I think it's one of the best things in the world. I think that's the thing too, like being a parent, having that village for your kids is real important. You know, sometimes
it is, absolutely.
You know, I think the older generations did something right with that when everybody took care of the kids. I think that was a very important and big thing. Like, kids need that. They need that community, because sometimes you can't always go to your parents and talk to them about things. And even if you're a great parent, like, you know, you can't, sometimes your kids just don't want to talk to you about it. They want to talk to somebody else. And it's good to have that village, because no matter what, you know that there's a loving person that's always there with good intentions for your kids.
And you can look at that village. And I actually saw an interview. It was like probably 6 months ago, but it was I believe it was a black politician. And he said, what we're missing in our neighborhoods is everybody's aunt sitting out on the porch. And, you know, looking out for all the kids. And I can say the same applies for like how I grew up too, because when I was a kid, I could go anywhere in the little town of Convoy or the little town of Payne, Ohio, and everybody knew me. So all my friends' parents always looked out for me, and there was this community of, you know, looking out for each other. You know, even the town cop, you know, he'd be like, hey, y'all make sure you just ain't out running around in the streets. I don't care what y'all do. And it was it was just a big community, and we don't have that no more. Like, no, everybody minds their own business now because things are just so much more dangerous than what they were back then. And it's sad, but families is a big thing. And I think that we need to get back to creating these solid family structures, and
Creating
really
that is
like
going to
getting your
create good
family community
communities.
put back.
It will.
Oh, I
Creating the
agree.
family
I
dynamic
agree.
will help the communities get back together, and we'll see. We won't need police. You know, you won't need to always have these other outside entities to
Right.
come in and fix things.
Well,
You
yeah.
know,
Well, the police won't have to be police. They'll be like what they used to
Mhm.
be, and they'll just be part of the community. Like, oh, the cops here to
Okay.
walk around and talk to people. Like, it won't be like how it is now, where the cops are so high strung because there's so much
Mhm.
crime going on that they make these massive mistakes. And I agree with you on
And
that
we
one,
do have
Shauna.
to realize, as much as Shauna doesn't like the police, we also do have to realize, you know, my aunt, she was been on the Albany police force for 30 something plus years now. She's a detective now that she's a mom. You know, she's not active on the streets anymore. But we do have to realize that these people too do have families, and they put their lives on the line every day when they put those uniforms on. Unfortunately, they did choose a crap job. And and I think we have to realize that, you know, to their everyday being in high stress situations, you don't want it. In being in high stress situations, and it's one of those things, you know, like I've been watching, you know, I've been binge watching the show Night Watch for the last month and a half now. And
Yeah.
it's like seeing like the police, you know, you get in like that other end of it, like you see the interaction they have with the civilians, and he's like, you know, the guy is cussing me out, I don't even know him, I haven't even done anything, you know, he let him go, it was a routine traffic stop. And you know, the guy's like, well, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, and he was being very combative. And I get it, like as a civilian, you know, you don't want to deal with the police because it's so much negativity. But on the other end, it's like this could have been something so simple. He just wanted to run, you know, run the tag. You didn't even get a ticket. It could have been simple, but it turned another way to where it could have been really bad, where he could have been shot. The police officer could have been shot. Any of those things can happen. So you also too have to be empathetic to the situation, that as much, and even me as a Black person saying this, like you have to be empathetic to these people because they are in dangerous situations every day.
Right. I can attest to that. It is not an easy job to have.
Yeah. So
there's
still don't like the
days
police though.
there's days where you're like, why am I fighting this evil when evil's everywhere?
Yeah, definitely.
So you get
You
caught
about to
up
go
into that
upstairs with Daddy?
mindset.
Okay.
But one thing that we need to stop doing
Huh?
is throwing family away. And I see this over and over and over again, that if you have certain family members that aren't quite getting in line with the agenda, then they get outcast. And I understand, like there's tough love situations. I want to be able to differentiate between, you know, what is a tough love situation and what is like an exile. So, you know, we have people in my family that are going through tough love situations right now, and rightfully so. You know, the deal is like, look, you get your shit together, and then when you get your shit together, come back and you're good. But you can only hold someone's hand so long before you have to allow them to hold themselves accountable. So, and that's what happens sometimes in my family, where it's hey, you get your shit together, and when you got your shit together, you can come back. And but then there's also well, we don't need you anymore. Kick rocks. Sorry for all the work that you did throughout the course of this family, but we don't need you anymore. So see ya. And that happens a lot. And that's what happened to me at the end of my last marriage. It was well, sorry, you did all the work, but see ya. And I just think doing it that way is wrong. I think it's unappreciative. I think it's cowardly. I think when you have family, if you're going to label somebody family, they're family. Like there's no unlabeling family. So that's a difficult one for me because I have a tough time letting go of people that I put emotions into, like my family. So it's a difficult situation sometimes because I get over emotional about it because I feel like I'm one of the few people in the world that's still playing by the rules, and everybody else is we're all like a throwaway vape. Like, oh, I'm done using it. Let me go get another one. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that at all. You know, I don't care who it is in my family. I don't get along with most of the people on my mom's side of my family. I have my own opinions about them, and they have their opinions about me. But if one of them called me up and said, Eric, I need you right now, I'm going to bat. Or give me my bat. So it's just a situation. Family's family. And I feel like I'm the only one left that holds that value. But I'm trying to bring it back to, to pass that on to my children and say, this is how we do things. Like, you don't throw each other away no matter how mad you are at each other. Yeah, take some time away from each other. Don't like each other for a while. But at the end of the day, y'all are still family. And, we're not always going to like you said, Shauna, we don't pick our family. It's just how it happens. So, and there's going to be a lot of.
I tell you right now, I love my sister and she's one of my best friends in the world. But if she was a regular person, I would never befriend her. Never. But I love my sister. Like, she is my sister and she's my ride or die and I am hers. But like, if there was a choice and I was like, oh, you choose to have people in your life. No, my sister's a psycho, but I love her. I love her.
Does she watch the show? I hope not, because you guys are going to be arguing later.
Upstairs, mommy's doing her shirt.
Well, I just go.
Okay. But mommy needs you to go upstairs still. My child is so dramatic. She's okay. Here, be careful. No, just take the thing. Here, hold it just like that. Take your time. Their new thing is they love carrots. Don't know what it is. Okay. But yeah, so they are. I'm glad that they're eating their veggies. Great. Mom loves it. But I think, you just isn't perfect. You aren't perfect, but you find your groove and you work with it. I think people spend so much time thinking about the things that they're unhappy about when you miss all the things that are good around you, And I'm a very big person in that, being able to wake up every day and breathe fresh air, and I get to kiss my kids every day and see them running around. Those
right.
May seem like very small things, but some people don't have that. I was blessed to be able to have twins, my first pregnancy. Some women are never.
Yeah.
You have to appreciate the things that are around you, like I didn't
Right.
have grandparents, but my kids do. That's great. Those small victories add up more than the bad things eventually.
Right.
And you have to appreciate that because be safe. And I think, you spend so much time on those things, you miss all the things that you could have appreciated in the years. And you get old and you're like, there's nobody around here to tell me goodbye. Like, the kid's dad, one of his cousins just passed yesterday, and he was able to make it to 97 years old, and he was able to pass with both of his children at his bedside. They got to actually say bye to their father, conversations with him one last time,
right.
and watch their dad take his last breath. And that may seem morbid to some people, but that's a big thing. Their dad lived a long time, almost a century. That's a huge thing. And you got to see both of your kids. You got to see them come into the world, and you got to say bye to them before you left. That's a huge thing. And you have to take that. And he obviously did a good enough job where both of his kids were there with him when he passed. So
right.
That's a huge victory for him. If nothing else, that he was a great father. So I think you have to, life is shitty. we're all dealt shit hands, you know? So you make life how you want it to be, and you choose your happiness. You can't choose misery.
Right.
But yeah,
That's true.
choose
And that's why I think
happiness,
we need to get our family structures tight and take away excuses and deal with what you have. And because I think we're heading towards some really dark times, and those
Mhm.
family structures are going to be all that you have to make it. And so that's the point of this, and that's why I thought to talk about it today. Especially being in church, and we had to talk as a church family this morning about some very tough subjects. And I'm like, you know what, family's a big thing, and it's a tough subject because there's a lot of brokenness out there. And hopefully maybe this comes across to people and they can see and
Yeah.
start to put their families back together and create some unity, and because we're going to need our families.
Call that cousin that y'all fought about 10 years ago. Call her and y'all talk it out. Y'all probably don't even know what you're mad about anymore. Call him and talk to him.
Yeah,
You're mad at your mom. Get over it. You know?
I don't remember.
No, there's some
But-
cousins I would never.
And that's our show for the day. That's our show for the day. And I wanted to just get that out, give everybody a quick update of the whole world's on fire, and Kamala Harris is stealing Donald Trump's campaign now. She's not taxing tips in now.
Oh my God. Here
So-
you go.
Her platform is steal Trump's platform.
That's because she doesn't have one. Oh my God.
That's it for the show.
All right, people. Bye, people. Let me see if we can do it. Is it going to let us do it? We haven't
See
done it in
y'all
a
on
while.
Wednesday.
No, it's not doing it.
That's weird.
It is.
All right.
It
I'll see y'all
is.
later.